Guild Wars 2 is filled to the brim with secret areas, and I have highlighted many of them on my channel, but there are still more to look at, so let's go over 10 more in no particular order. In the number 10 spot is the Commodore's Quarter Secret Room. This is an area that a lot of people who were playing right when Lion's Arch was rebuilt following the Rimworld Season 1 probably remember, and for anyone who has done the iconic Lion's Arch Exterminator achievement for Princess knows about. Right by legendary collector Youngblood, you can come inside of this building in the Commodore's Quarter, and I am somebody who always loves interiors in video games, so being able to explore through the inside of this building and just look at all the decorations is something that I've always loved. But if you climb up the stairs, you can get to the second floor of this building and find even more decorations. But there's one tricky thing going on here where you can do a small strafe jump to get into this secret little room that is a part of the building but is really just disconnected from everything else and requires you to exercise your athleticism to get to. Inside are a couple of beds, a few chairs, a dresser, and some other stuff, where there's actually a door that would let somebody into this room in lore, but it's locked. Of course, things being locked in video games hasn't stopped many curious adventurers. In the number 9 spot is the Frostgorge Sound Snow Climb Cave. This is an example of an area that is just a spot that I, for whatever reason, had absolutely no idea existed until recently. And in reality, there isn't too much going on inside of this cave to note. It's relatively small, and it looks like a lot of the other Frostgorge Sound based caves that you would find in this map with the snow and ice. But it is blocked off from entering unless you do a specific event. In this area, you can participate in an event starting at the Path of Starry Skies, where you help a Coden by the name of Depthless Sea. You walk around this area and just fight a bunch of the Ice Brood and clear out their presence in order to help reduce some of the dangers that the Coden are facing. Afterwards, you can then do a second event to help Depthless Sea defeat the Ice Brood Coden, which takes you directly into this cave, where you find a few Ice Brood Coden, which is always a bit of a sad experience, but also fight a hulking veteran Ice Brood Goliath who made its home inside of this cave. In the number 8 spot are the Bloodstone Cave's door. This is an interesting spot because many more players know about this place in the modern day of Guild Wars 2 due to recent updates, but way back in the day, it was a pretty big secret that a lot of players love to explore. In the original Guild Wars, you have the area of the Bloodstone Caves that is a relatively important location, and in Guild Wars 2, we can actually just find the entrance to the Bloodstone Caves and a small little cave system in the Straits of Devastation. This is a fun little winding area that you can explore through, which eventually takes you to the door. And this location has been an area of speculation amongst Guild Wars 2 players for a while now, because this could very well lead to some sort of piece of instance content like a raid, or even a whole open world zone that takes you through these caves and into the uncharted piece of land between the Timberline Falls and Sparkfly Fen. But with the Secrets of the Obscure expansion, we saw this place expanded on a tiny bit where players come through here during an achievement and can learn a little bit of lore, which is always fun. In the number 7 spot are the Shattercleft Hills Tunnel. This is one of those areas that feels very obvious to find, but I would guess that most players probably don't even realize this location exists. The Shattercleft Hills as a whole is kind of a super awkward area to be in within Sparkfly Fen in general, and there also isn't too many things going on here. Most players go to Tequato through the main waypoint or through Chokevine Gorge or down from Brulunu, but I don't think I've ever seen a single person get to Tequato through the Shattercleft Hills. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I've ever been this way directly, so I can change that now in this video. But there's then a little tunnel system that is out of the way from everything else in this area, and it's actually quite large. There are a lot of tunnels and caverns in this map, and this is just another one of them, but definitely less important except for a few mining nodes and mobs that you can find in here. And I kind of just like this place for the reasons I said above, because it really doesn't serve much of a purpose. It's out of the way from everything else in the map, and most players probably haven't been through here, but it's so cool and adds a decent amount of flavor to the map because of all that. In the number 6 spot is Old Oola Lab. Now this is a pretty iconic location that is actually incredibly important, but is really strange. You see, Oola's Lab is a relatively important location in the original Guild Wars, and as we have seen the Asura and this part of the world expanded upon in Guild Wars 2, it makes a lot of sense that we can explore more of Oola, though I think this is technically a different lab than the one Guild Wars players would be familiar with. And anyone who has ever done map completion in the Metacritic province likely remembers this place because of the quiz-based hero challenge you have to do at the cave entrance and how you have to run up to the gate to get the point of interest. And for most players traveling through the world, that is all there is to do, and you tend to move on to continue exploring the rest of the map. But there is an event that I feel like already doesn't happen too often, and then also bugs causing the event to stall and not ever begin. But should the event begin, you can actually explore through this entire lab and learn a decent amount about Oola as you go through here. And the area is really cool with some defenses and a lot of decorations. With the addition of mounts and probably through some other methods as well, it is actually pretty easy to break into this place through the back entrance and explore the lab without having to wait for the event, which is always a cool experience, especially with all of the defenses. In the number 5 spot are the different Special Forces training area out of the way areas that you can find. The Special Forces training area is an incredibly useful location for players who are getting more dedicated or are super dedicated with in-game instance content in Guild Wars 2, and is super useful for practicing rotations or experimenting with builds. And that is the primary purpose of this area. It's all mechanical. But just because it's all mechanical doesn't mean you can't be doing it in a gorgeous area, and this area is indeed gorgeous with so many cool sights. But since most players just run straight to the golem area and do whatever they are here to do, they don't really ever give themselves the opportunity to run around here and explore. And there are quite a few fun little areas that you can explore. The biggest and my favorite has to be this little crystal cave that you can come into with these incredible crystals and a bunch of other fun decorations. Then there are a couple of small ones hidden around, but you can then go into the water area, which kind of feels like it would have an invisible wall blocking it, and find another cave with a bunch of spider webs covering the entrance. In the number 4 spot are the Icegate Gorge elemental areas. Icegate Gorge is a fun area in the southeastern corner of the Gandharan Fields, which feels very random. It used to have an entrance to Lion's Arch prior to its reconstruction, which is why there is a random waypoint out here. And in old Lion's Arch, you can actually exit out this way and appear here. But beyond an event that passes through here and the waypoint, there isn't really a reason to stick around. With that event, it takes you past this little elemental area, which is super fun. But there's also a second elemental area that players can discover should they dive deeper into this area of the map. I don't think there is really anything important here, and it is an example of something we see a lot of in the Shiver Peaks, with little snowy alcoves that don't have anything in them except a few mobs and occasionally a cool decoration. And this one in particular I just like a lot because I feel like it has a super cool aesthetic and is located in a very cool area. In the number 3 spot is the Thistlereed Grove Cave. This is an area that anyone who does the post-reset leyline anomaly may know about because it is a popular spot to come to while waiting for the leyline anomaly. Thistlereed Grove is a nice little Jotun area that is fun to come through, and there are a bunch of harvesting nodes all around here that are nice to pick up, including a cauliflower garden protected by a veteran Jotun and featuring a few rams and a few fun waterfalls. But if you go down into the water, you can find the entrance to an honestly really cool looking cave with some alpine skunk swimming around in the water with a little piece of land that you can jump up onto inside of the cave. In here is a rich platinum ore vein and sometimes another platinum ore that you can mine. Even when the leyline anomaly isn't happening, you can often find some players coming through here just to mine this vein, and I think a few people even keep an odd character parked here to log in once a day to mine the vein. In the number 2 spot is the Owl Lodge Camp. This is an area that has always kind of blown my mind just because it's so big, serves no purpose, and is pretty easy to miss for a lot of players. In the southeastern corner of the Snowden Drifts is the Owl Lodge, which I've always found the stories going on here pretty interesting to dive into as you explore Norn culture. And there are quite a few things going on here, but tucked away into the mountainside, unmarked and incredibly easy to miss for players coming through here, is this random little camp area. There isn't any reason to come through here and explore it beyond fulfilling a personal sense of adventure. If I were to guess, this location probably served a purpose when the Owl Lodge was fully functioning, but since the lodge has fallen into disarray, it serves no purpose anymore. But it is still a cool little area to come to and explore just because it is interesting and has a ton of details. But for the number 1 spot, let's go back to the Gandharan Fields and take a look at the Vigil Keep Hidden Cave. Vigil Keep is a massive fortification that I've always thought is super cool, and there are a ton of fun areas to explore, especially inside of the Vigil HQ itself. But hidden in the cliffside, you can find a pretty small opening leading to a cave. There's a dead ram at the entrance, which is very unfortunate, but is kind of helpful to help mark and spot this area. Going inside, you can find a super fun area as you find another dead ram, and then a veteran basilisk and a young basilisk, presumably its child. There are a ton of bones, a skeleton, another ram, and some other decorations all around here, which is super cool. You just have a hidden basilisk cave underneath the Vigil keep, with a couple well-fed basilisks laying around and enjoying their full bellies. But there's also a chest that you can open should you decide to brave the basilisks, which can always be fun. And all in all, this is just a pretty hidden and out of the way location that tells a big story with just what is present in it. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed. There are a ton of hidden areas all around Guild Wars 2, and it was fun to highlight a few of them in this video. If there are any hidden areas that you in particular like, feel free to leave them down in the comments. And if you want to explore more hidden areas, check out the videos on your screen right now. I hope you all are taking great care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.